Namaskar. In part one of this yoga and exercise series, we understood what kind of exercise one needs to do to maintain a healthy body, especially as we approach the second half of our lives. We were happy to hear that the asana practice in yoga can help build our muscle strength, besides supporting an exercise regimen in different ways. So today we want to delve deeper into the muscle strengthening aspect. What does it really mean? What does it take? What can yoga do or not, etc. So we thought it's best to speak with a gym instructor to first understand the basics of muscle training. So let us welcome Sunil Kudva to our conversation today. Sunil is very passionate about health and fitness. He has trained hundreds of fitness instructors, established successful fitness and yoga centers in Delhi, Mumbai, Melbourne, and Mexico. Currently, he runs the very popular Elite Fitness Training Center in Mumbai. He's a qualified personal trainer, Aerobics and Aqua Aerobics Instructor, Les Mills trainer, Yoga and Pilates trainer, and CrossFit Certified Trainer. Amazing. He completed his yoga teacher training from Yog Vidya Dham in Nashik. So welcome, Sunil. It is really wonderful to have you join us today.
Thank you, Shruti, for inviting me. Your introduction makes me sound better than I am, actually.
Sunil, you're amazing and awesome. So I think we are really glad to have you join us today. So we'd like to really start with the basics of training or strengthening our muscles. So what are the goals of muscular strengthening, and are there different types of strength that one is aiming for?
Okay, when we talk about strength purely, it actually means 1 to 3 reps only, as heavy as you can lift, if you're talking about strength. But most people confuse strength with looking big or taking a bigger body mass and all those things. So when a person is asking or trying to come to a gym, what they are asking for normally, is what I think is the fact that they want more muscle mass and lesser body fat. So that is what they mean. They mean that they want lean body mass, yeah. And they say strength, but strength is much more specific, which is what you normally see in Olympics. When a person is lifting very, very heavy, or in powerlifting, that is the pure strength, which is your ability to lift one rep as heavy as possible. And that has a lot of benefits and a lot of risks also. So most people cannot do that. To come to that stage it's a long journey in the sense of strength. Okay, strength helps everybody. So whatever the age, whatever the sex, or even people who are injured over a period of time, it will help them a lot. Yeah. So and if you, as you were saying, the introduction also, especially people, in the latter half of their life, now for them is much more important. I would say in terms of hormone building and what happens to the body is much more important for women, much more so, because women tend to lose the estrogen and they have lesser testosterone anyway, and the latter after menopause especially. So strength is for everybody. If you want to go, want me to go very, very specific, I can do that. But what I feel is most people get confused with is the fact that they come and say, I want to build my strength, but what they actually mean is other thing, which is to do with body composition, not strength. Yeah. And when a person comes, what most gym instructors end up doing is thinking of exercises or the big muscles, or trying to get bigger, stronger, and all those things, instead of going the step-by-step process. Usually it is a long haul, yeah, to build strength. So you have to think of it as a long-term thing rather than a short-term. And when you try to go short-term, that is what leads to injuries. Personally, I feel 90% of the people don't do it the right way.
Yeah. Got it. And talking about, long term, sounds like it's more of a marathon, right? So we have, in this context, we've also heard of terms like endurance and agility. So are these also aspects of strength training or muscular strengthening? Would you like to?
Yeah. If you want me to step by step, the first most important thing for most people is that when you start exercising, yeah, the joint activation or prehab, that is what I call it. Prehab is like, everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. So when we are talking about joints, which is the shoulder joint, which has got a lot of mobility, and the hip joint, which is the ball and socket joint, these have a lot of mobility. Now, the thing is, when you're coming to a gym and you just want to build muscles, you just want to be big, and all those things you start doing, whatever the age I'm saying, yeah, you are not actually devoting enough time to smaller muscles, which try to keep the joint in the right place. If you try to just concentrate on the big muscles, eventually the smaller muscles, which actually work throughout the day because they have to stabilize the body, they get weaker, and that is how you get injuries. That is why one needs to actually concentrate on the prehab, which 90% of the people don't do, or they don't devote enough time to it. So I say that do the joint activation and the prehab and the flexibility and then the strength. So that is the step by step. If there is a pie chart, I would say when you start, put most of the time in prehab and joint activation, then in flexibility, and then in strength. And over a period of time, as you get better and better, you will devote lesser time in the joint activation and more in strength.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense, and sounds like, I mean, we'll come to this later, but sounds like yoga could play a role in developing the joint mobility and the flexibility in the body. So it will prepare your body for the long haul. So that's great. So are there specific metrics or some specific components that we need to include for, when we, in our exercise regimen, to track how we are doing on our muscle strengthening?
Okay, in a basic level, one would say, okay, we need to test the muscular endurance, which is the upper body strength with push-ups maybe, and flexibility, which is the toe touch, which is a flexibility box is there. Then do that also. Then if you're not able to do, say, for example, I would say push-up plank position on the elbow or on the hands. In a push-up position, you should be able to at least, if you're not able to hold for at least 2 minutes, there is an issue somewhere, which we need to work on. It may be the shoulder, it may be the abs, whatever. So if you're not able to do those things and then straight away go into strength, then we are heading for some injury later down the line. So we keep on checking parameters every month or every 3 months at least. We have to check those things, even the cardiovascular strength and all those things. So yeah, so if you are trying to classify, it is muscular endurance you have to check. You have to check the flexibility. You have to check the cardiovascular endurance of the person over a period of time. And for the first 1 year, we consider a person to be a beginner level, and that is if the person is exercising regularly, which is 2 to 3 days a week. And after that, you can be intermediate, which goes on for 4 to 5 years, or intermediate level, whereby the number of exercises which you can do safely is much more. And after 5 years, that is the time. I'm generalizing, but that is the time most people then have the ability to recruit the muscle fibers in a certain manner to actually approach or scratch the surface of their strength.
Interesting.
That is what.
Very interesting.
Excuse me. So when you see an Olympic level guy, that he's trying to do strength, but he's been doing it for 5 to 10 years or more. You get it? So we just see the person doing it and think of, or we try to attempt it, but it takes that long. Olympic level person who's doing a clean and jerk or snatch is extremely agile, very flexible, and strong, and they have extreme power. Power means speed also. So and we just are looking at the side, oh, he's lifting heavy. But the fact that you go fully down with that much amount of weight has the flexibility and the strength. So this takes step-by-step process. we can't, like, we can't straight away go and approach it. If we try to do that, there's a high risk of injury. So we have to put the blocks, the building blocks, step by step to be able to do those things. Like, even if you say Sachin Tendulkar or whatever, you say, oh, he played for India at the age of 16, but he was practicing for more than 10 years, perfect practice for over a period of time to be able to do those things. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That again, that definitely, that makes a lot of sense. Are there some specific variety of movements that your strength training or muscular training the muscles should include? So I'm just trying to get at what are those variety of movements that are incorporated into a gym routine that might also be available in some other, exercise forms?
See, my philosophy is, I call it the KISS principle, which is keep it simple, stupid. Okay, always keep it simple. If you keep it simple, then you can do it. Okay, so if it is a normal person, where we say, I'm trying gym language now. It is push, pull, and squat. The whole body, the way our long lever, short lever, all the bodies, either we push or we pull, which is what the hands do. Push, pull, whatever you want to call it, push, pull. Yeah, or we squat, which is I'm standing from the pelvis, right? So now if I'm doing a lunge, it's still a squat, which is happening from the pelvis going up and down. Yeah, forward, backward, sideways, whatever you want to call it, I'm still squatting. Yeah, with the hands, I'm pushing or pulling. That is all it is. So it's pushing, pulling, and squatting, or maybe I can carry the weight. So that is what I follow. Like, listen to Dan John or Pavel and all. So what I'm saying is these are the basic movements. Yeah, we just try to make it complex by trying to isolate the movement, like the bodybuilders do, like to make it more complex than it is. For most people, these three movements done well should suffice. Now, if you're trying to aim for your strength goals, that is different. Even when an Olympic guy is doing the clean and jerk, he's combining all three together. Push, pull, and squat, all three together. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. No, understood. I love how you explain the concepts in a simple way. So, in our world right now, there are a whole bouquet of exercise regimens that are available to us, right? So we hear a lot of different terms like CrossFit or Pilates, and of course you have weight training. So are there specific outcomes that these different types of exercises are aiming for? Or they are all building your lean body mass, or are they all working to improve, to build your muscle strength? So what is kind of the differentiation among these, if there is a simple way of explaining that?
Yeah. So see, I'll come to yoga last because it's very, very vast. Pilates is like, Joseph Pilates was a doctor in the First World War, German doctor who actually helped the army people get back onto their feet faster by actually, like, when you are in the army, you get injury, right? When you are injured, you are in the hospital. But in the hospital, by lying on the bed, atrophy means losing muscle mass happens. Yeah, if you're just lying in bed. So he was trying to get them to hold on to the muscle by doing exercises when you're lying in the bed. Yeah, with like, if you see a four-poster bed in the army, with the leg up and all those things. So he was trying to use those things so that the soldiers can get back on their feet to be able to go back to the front again. So that is how it started. Okay, and then he progressed on to the dancers. Dancers also suffer a lot of injuries, yeah, with the movement and all those things. So Pilates, Joseph Pilates, he's the pioneer. Okay, he's the one who started it. So Pilates has got reform bed, trees, the chair, now the floor Pilates and all those things are there, which is basically trying to keep the muscles supple, strong, and long, which is what the dancer movements are, full range of movement, having those things. So that is more to do with the Pilates. Weight training has been there forever. By the I mean, since centuries and millennia. So earlier the warriors used to do it. We call it, you can call it gada, you can call it whatever, the throwing even in the Olympics, from the javelin throw to the hammer throw to the shot put and whatever you want to call it. Mainly the warriors were the ones who used to go to a gymnasium to be able to do those kind of movements. Yeah. So we have now got it into the gym in terms of, okay, lifting this, doing that, and all those things. So that is where the weight training aspect is. Weight training aspect is more to do with trying to build the muscle in lifting heavy weights and doing those things. Pilates is more to do with, was started for as a rehab thing, but then it went to the general population. So that is how it is right now. I would not say you do one thing over the other and all. It depends on your goal as to what suits you best and what you want to achieve. Pilates will, of course, not take you to extreme level of strength, because strength is usually got to do with the amount of weight you can lift as heavy as possible. Yeah.
And CrossFit, does that also, is that a good combination of cardio and muscle strengthening that an average person needs? Again, we are not really trying to understand the recipe for an athlete.
CrossFit has done wonders in the sense of popularizing the weightlifting movements, which is the clean and press and the snatches and all those things. But like anything else, there are good trainers and not so good trainers. I would not say that. But most of them are not so good, if I may say so. Because those movements which they're trying to teach too fast, too soon, can lead to injuries. So there are higher risk of injuries by trying to attempt certain things. Yeah. But if you do not have an ego issue and you want to go step by step, then it's great. So it is good, but at the same time, it is also leading to a lot of injuries by people trying to show off by through Instagram or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, by trying to attempt things which they are not yet ready for. Yeah. So that is what I think. The thing is, the weightlifting or trying to lift really heavy, like I already told you, if you're not putting the base proper, you will have an issue.
Right.
You will.
So, I would like to ask one question. Because I have myself not been to a gym, in a very long time, maybe 10 years. So what is it that is actually offered in the gym now? Let's just maybe go through the different things that you offer in the gym these days. Because I think I don't even know that, for example, right? So Pilates is one, as I understand. Weight training is the other one. Yoga, you're saying, is also offered in the gym. And what are the other aspects like that are offered in the gym in modern times?
So Priyanka, let me say this, you don't need to go to a gym to actually achieve most of your goals. For most people, I'm just saying. For most people, if they do things, usually you need direction, right? Like for the coach or the gym instructor or anybody who's there is actually trying to help you do things which you want to achieve, hopefully in a safe and effective manner. So what I consider the best is your body weight. You just your own body weight. But the body weight done well requires many other things. Everybody's range of movement is not the same. Yeah, with the joint range of movement. Yeah, everybody's age, genetics, connective tissue, and all many things matter. Trying to do certain things. Okay, but if you learn body weight movement, which is calisthenics, well, so you don't require a gym per se. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, and I believe in those things. Learn something. So I'm not a service provider. That if Elite Fitness or whatever we represent, we are not trying to be a service provider. Okay, I'm offering you this, and here's my service. That is not the thing. What I'm trying to do is to teach you doing certain things well. So if it is to do with calisthenics, if you want to learn calisthenics well, which is the body weight movements, or if it's to do with strength training, or if it's to do with kettlebell training, or like you said, Pilates or all those things, is to do with education. So we want to educate you. Once you have educated well, and it is always there with you, hopefully. Yeah. So, and if you are educated well, then you will be able to do the basic movements well. And if you're able to do the basic movements well, eventually it's got to do with the angles and the body. Once you're able to do that, you do not need anybody else. And if you're on a holiday or anywhere else, you will always be able to do it. But then if issues crop up, like, after pregnancy or after injury or certain aspect, if things come up, or if you go change, then of course you will again may need the advice, right? Advice as to how to approach your next goal. That is when you may need the coaching again. Yeah. So that is what we believe in. Now, everybody is different. Like the gym has become much more of a commercial thing, and which is necessary anyway to survive. But it is also it's lost its direction, because it's this is what yoga or anything has believed in, the fact that we want to educate you. That is the most important thing. So, and then trying to sell variety of things, which is what you're trying to ask me, like, what all do you offer? It's not like supermarket that there is a lot of offerings. There may be a lot of things, but what suits you best is what I'm trying to talk to you. What people mistake is, like, you're asking me of, this is what I want, or do you have this Pilates, or do you have this strength training, or do you have CrossFit, or do you have Zumba, or this? These are all wants, yeah, or likes, you may say. What I'm trying to say is, when we see a client, or when I see a person, which happens all the time actually, because I'm in the back with the fitness thing, when we are always watching, we are even noticing the posture, or this or this or this, then in my mind I'm thinking the person needs to do this, yeah, which is quite common, right? So what I'm saying is, most people confuse or instructors also address the wants rather than address the needs first. So whenever I'm looking at somebody, I need to say, okay, these are your weaknesses. He needs to do this first. Then hopefully over a period of time, if he's strong enough, he or she is strong enough, then we can address the wants if needed. But otherwise, if the person is not agreeing with the needs, as a coach or an instructor, one needs to say, like, maybe you need to meet somebody else, because it is not in my thing that I can help you, because I know it will lead to injuries eventually, right? And then the issue of your professionalism comes in, as to why did you address the wants instead of the needs. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Yes, no, that makes, yeah, I think you are focusing on holistic fitness education. And I think that's great.
No, I'm not talking about holistic as to everything. I'm just trying to say, some people, according to their thing, some people are more flexible in the shoulder, but they have a higher risk because the connective tissues or the rotator cuff muscles are very weak. So there is a tendency of getting injury. So once you get injury, or once you have weaknesses, what happens is, say for example, if I have a back problem or a shoulder problem, what happens over a period of time, the body doesn't want the pain. So it starts to compromise. The shoulder becomes like that because it's trying to compromise. The weaker muscles get still weaker. And because of our lifestyle and all, because we are always sitting, some muscles keep on getting weaker and some muscles keep on getting tighter. It doesn't mean that we can't get it back if we look after it well. So when a person is coming, we have to address those issues first. The smaller stabilizer muscle first, before trying to do the aesthetics, what looks good.
Yeah,
I think, see, so I really like the three things that you said. So weakness in the muscle, tightness in the muscle, and you're saying aesthetics, right? So basically these seem to be the three main things in the muscle that we kind of try to improve. Is that right?
Yeah. No, most people put the aesthetics first. In today's world, most people want to look a certain way and want to show a certain way, rather than address their weakness or show their weakness. Once you're true to yourself and understand this is my weakness, then you will address it and try to work on it. But most people don't want to work on. I'm saying 90% of the people are like that. Either they don't know or they don't want to address it, because it is maybe boring or it takes too much time. See, we are, as humans, we are evolving over millions of years. Everything changes slowly. But in the last X number of years, the technology has advanced so fast. We are able to do this Zoom talk. You're sitting everywhere else. One is in California, one is somewhere else. Yeah. So we are able to do this technology, right? It is good and bad. The good part is we are able to do this. The bad part is everybody wants to show their side through Instagram or Facebook, whatever, a certain side, the best mask, if you want to call it, But most people don't realize the fact that this is not the way it is. You have to, everything's going to happen slowly. You cannot be straight away strong. Everything cannot happen fast. The body will not change fast. There are four things to being healthy. First is, most important is, this is what I say, is sleep. Your sleep is in order, that is great. After that is stress. Everybody is different how they handle stress, but if you can handle stress in a certain manner, that is good. After that comes nutrition. After nutrition comes exercise. Exercise is movements. Now, if you're trying to address exercise, which is what we're talking about right now, the talk is like that. But first three are not right, then how does it work? It is not going to work. It's not going to help you if you're just trying to exercise hard. You look a certain way, but you will crash soon. You know, so nutrition is not right, sleep, stress, and sleep. So if a client comes to me, he's not slept well or is heavily stressed, I have to change over here in terms of exercise. I cannot push that person hard because the body is already under tremendous stress, mentally and physically. You get it? So, but nowadays people are so they want to party hard, they want to work out hard, they want to do everything hard. Then the body falls apart, and then we have a discussion about, you know what, oh, that guy was only 40 years old and he had a heart attack. He used to run a marathon, he used to eat well, but what they didn't, what you don't realize is the person was burning the candles at both ends, you know. So is going to fall apart. I'm not trying to blame anybody. All that I'm trying to say is the evolutionary, everything happens slow. Yeah. So once you address your weaknesses, once you address your things, and have some patience, and don't have too much ego, not in the US in terms of otherwise also, then it's going to help you in the long run.
So sounds like,
look at the long picture.
Yeah, so sounds like yoga is the perfect solution, because it definitely helps with stress management. It helps with, better sleep, and it helps with your exercise as well. So could we talk a little bit about ego?
And with the ego too. That is the most important.
Agreed.
See, so personally, for me, yoga doesn't mean what it means for the, if you want to call it, West. For most people, yoga ends up being a certain set of exercises or the movements. Yeah. So that is what most people think of it as. For me, it's always been. I'm 52 years old, so I have done it for more than 30 years now, and I've always been in a sports background and studying a different thing. Yeah. So yoga has always meant, and it has changed over the course of these number of years. Yeah. Your yoga nowadays usually means leading a like Krishnamurti says, leading a very moral life, trying to be as disciplined as possible, and leading a moral life rather than just talking about exercise or movements or getting into this asana or that asana. So and I see that the yoga, I mean, like, you want to call it yoga, whatever you want to call it, in various aspects, from musicians to sportsmen to other people also. You have that connection. Yeah. Okay.
I think so. We completely agree with you. In fact, the app that I started, and the app seeks to say that, that's what we're trying to do with the app. We have the higher practices of yoga, like yoga nidra and meditation, and the whole idea. The podcast also kind of aims to bring the the philosophy and history of yoga to the world, so that the modern take gets challenged. That is what we are trying to say. And what is happening also is that, the way yoga is practiced, asana is practiced, there are so many new forms that are emerging. And asana has always been updated, right? It's not like it's been a thing. Like hatha yoga also was an evolution from what it was before, right? It was like, it's constantly, the asanas are being added to yoga. And now why we're doing this also is because, why should somebody start a yoga practice? So the next episode will be about yoga and the mind. So how asana affects the mind, not even talking about pranayama and meditation, but how does asana affect the mind? So today, what we're talking about really is trying to say, okay, why yoga is enough, right? If you wanted to exercise, because body weight training is enough for a regular, normal person who is just trying to kind of maybe undo the effects of aging. So you're already strong, you're already good, but as you age, the strength and flexibility, everything will go away. So how do you keep up with that? Or if you're a regular 30-year-old adult, what do you do to keep normally fit, right? So that you're able to do your daily tasks optimally. And even if you go to a gym for that, right? What are the things that are offered? And like you were saying, I think what you said about tightness, aesthetics, and uh, the other aspect, the strength, right? So at the bottom of it, we are trying to just access these three things about the muscle. Is that right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, let me say yes. If you're talking about, I consider yoga as movements. Okay, I don't. If personally, I'm just saying, for me, yoga is got to do with more to do with morality, morals. Your morals, if you're exercising or not, that's a different thing. Not the I'm not talking about asanas. For me, yoga is much more to do with being a moral person and a disciplined moral person overall, not just your family, society, otherwise overall. So that is personal, my personal meaning. Okay, for myself, I'm not saying it has to be for everybody else. For what you want to classify as, I think of it more as a movement. When we are talking about asanas and those movements, yeah, of course it does. It if whichever movement which you may be doing in yoga, there is a lot of isometric strength. Isometric means holding position. When you're trying to hold a position, you're trying to stay in that position, right? When you're trying to stay in that position, inhaling, exhaling, and trying to stay, certain muscles are working as a stabilizer. Stabilizer means holding you over there. Certain muscles are doing flexibility. And at the same time, you need to have a range of movement, whatever you may be doing, range of movement. So you're doing mobility also. Yeah, yoga session done well in terms of usually starts with mobility and then goes into flexibility and a normal level of strength, which is the body weight one. Yeah, if done well, it is great. And it's like with anything else, everything works for maximum of 2 weeks. Any bullshit, if you want to call it like that, and everything works well. But to have a long-term thing, yoga says like we should have a healthy life till the age of 120 to 140 for physical. Yeah, this thing. Personally, I feel like whenever I look at myself, I look at it. Okay, when I'm 90 to 100 years old, for example, let's just say I'm there. Yeah, what are my goals? But I'm talking about myself again, not for anybody else. So like if I'm lifting heavy weights, that's what I'm talking about. So I should be able to lift 100 kilos. If I'm lifting 160 or 170 right now, I will lose approximately 10% every decade. Approximately, I'm just saying. So I have to be able to do 160 or 170 kilos right now with squat or deadlift or some of the things which I have my own thing. Then I will be able to do 100 then, because everything is going to go down, right, over the course of years. So I have that goal, but that is 40 years down the line. For that, I have to keep working now so that I have that. The reason I say that this goal, which is 40 or 50 years down the line, is because my wife and I, Madhuri and I, we have always decided we want to die standing. Which means I don't want to lie on the bed and die, like for 2 years, being sick or something. We want to die or trekking or whatever we are doing, dying like that, moving, not staying in one place, So that is a personal thing. So, but to be able to do that, to be able to lift heavy, to be able to do that, I need to do now, and I need to have that patience and ego under check so that I don't get injuries and all those things from now for the 40 years, right? It's not an issue of, being very muscular or very big and all those things. So that is my goal, strength goal. Yoga always helps in the sense of what you just said about. For me, the yoga always helps in terms of ego only. Personally, I'm just saying, yeah, because when you're exercising really hard or trying to push, sometimes you can get carried away, and so it gets you back inside. That's what I mean. We always say the third eye, right? So 2 eyes looking out, 1 eye has to look inwards. No, most people do not do that. Like you don't open the third eye to look inwards, right? And because sometimes if you look inwards, you may not like it, what you are, and that can lead to problems. So the thing is to understand yourself and work on it. That is what I feel about yoga. Any other question?
No, I think I'm all set. This was really enlightening, Sunil. This was great. Priyanka, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, no, I think the main thing is that for everyone, the goal is different, right? So I think that kind of is the answer to this, that the training that you do, like I have the same goal. I do yoga myself, I do practice yoga, but my goal is never to lift 100 kilos, right? If I can lift my daughter till she's 8 or 9, that'll be really great, and when I have my grandkids, if I can lift them and move around, like that's the kind of strength that I kind of bend them, pick them up, and do all my house chores, not be dependent on others.
Coming back to what you just said, okay, for example, I'm just saying, let us just say your daughter is 10 to 15. For example, I'm just saying 10 kilos. So actually what you're doing is your body weight plus 10. So don't think of it as this thing. So for example, if my body weight is say 65 or 70 kilos plus 15 becomes 85, for example. So whenever you're doing certain movements, the hardest or the most challenging one is actually to do your body weight well. To do your body weight well, in terms of calisthenics well, the angles and everything else, is actually harder to learn well than to do kettlebell training. Kettlebell training is actually the most forgiving. Then is actually weight training, and then is body weight. Body weight is actually harder to do and learn well. So that's what, when you see a gymnast, he's only doing his body weight, but that requires much more out of you than a weight training. Weight training is actually much easier. It's very easy to learn, and it's not that hard, Whereas body weight training to learn well is not an easy thing.
So
because the progression and everything else is, go on.
No, so that's very interesting. So given that yoga really a bunch of asanas involve your body weight, right? Do you have any, tips or pointers for our listeners in terms of doing that well?
See, for yoga like I said, is a holding movement, right? Most of the time. Whereas weight training and sports or anything else is a power movement, fast. So it's a concentric, eccentric, or isotonic, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So those are fast movements. Everything, boxing has to be fast. It cannot be slow or staying in the position. So yoga complements everything. Yeah, any sport, anything you do. But if you have a specific goal, if it's to do with strength training, or if any specific sport, then you have to approach the weight training room, because that will help you. It is a lower level. Sport is the ultimate, because you're trying to be the best that you can ever be. Yeah, the mobility. I mean, if it's a pyramid, I would say mobility, flexibility, metabolic conditioning, which is cardiovascular conditioning, then the throws and weight training, then the power training, and then the speed, and then the sport comes in. This is the pyramid I'm talking about. Yoga falls over there in the bottom of the pyramid, right? So it helps in the mobility, it helps in the flexibility. Yeah, it helps in balance. So it is for everybody, right? So here, if you want to call it the asanas, it comes over here, right? Then it is everything else, right? So you may call it flexibility. Some people may call it flexibility, or you may call it yoga move. It always helps. Whatever the name.
I think this is what you are looking for, this pyramid. I think we can just do an episode on this pyramid and explain how, one goes from being just regular fit in life to being really successful in a sport, right? So this is what I think
the pyramid later. But what I'm trying to make you understand is, this is the way we approach kids training. And I mean, I've been training kids from the age of 3.5 to the teens. So whenever we train like that, we train on these aspects first, step by step. And of course, below the mobility training is actually nutrition. Am I there? Hello? Yeah. Below the nutrition is much more important. Yeah, and in yoga is of course got to do with not hurting anybody. I'm talking about the nutrition. Yeah.
Got it. Sounds like, the asana movements could provide a strong foundation for all the other training that one might aim for, especially if you are aiming to be a sports person. So that's wonderful. Great. I think, Sunil, this was very useful. And I think we will respect your time. I know your clients are waiting for your training sessions. So I think we should let him go. Priyanka, is that good?
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think I understood a lot. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Sunil, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thanks so much.